Welcome to Chewer, the Left Side Brain podcast. I'm Ollie Jewiden, and with me, as always, are Gareth Jones,
Hello.
Ryan Brooks,
Hi.
and Rich Sadler.
Good evening, mortals.
Everyone all right?
Pretty good.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Tired.
Very well, thank you.
In the spirit of trying to get more regular momentum going, we're recording this only 1 week after the last episode was recorded.
Check it out.
No flies on us.
So yeah, episode 4 was another long one in the end. Now the dust has almost settled. How are we feeling about our review of Exile on Main Street?
It was a bit too generous.
Yeah, quite easy on it. I don't think I'm ever going to think about that record again without remembering Richie saying that he would rather. He said it felt like sitting back into a combine harvester. That was my quote of the episode.
You're welcome.
You haven't all been listening to it since then?
Absolutely not. No.
Not in the slightest.
No.
Well, despite it only being 7 days since we recorded that and 4 days since the episode went live, we have had some correspondence.
Woohoo.
And we had a comment on YouTube specifically in response to our episode from Dantian Blue.
I thought you were going to say it's from Keith Richards.
Legendary YouTube commentator. Yeah.
So it would appear that Dantian Blue is a Stones fan who has listened to the episode. So let me read this out. Dantian Blue says, Exile isn't even the best Stones album, really. But as you say, context is all. And the Stones were as much about image and attitude as anything within that culture. So the album as an artifact has garnered those kind of ratings. France because they were tax exiles, but the whole decadent legend of the sessions is all part of the vibe. Personally, I have a lot of time for the Stones and they've done some great stuff, but Exile is for me stale and bloated. There's great feel on it, but nothing musically interesting much apart from a few tracks. Shake Your Hips is a straightforward cover of Slim Harpo, which is typical of what they did. Their R&B covers did actually help the original artists a bit, as they always acknowledged those influences, more so than the likes of Zeppelin did.
What an intelligent and thoughtful comment.
Yeah.
It sounded like he felt similarly about it the we did in a way, of it being a little bit devoid of much more than vibes.
And I think he's hit on something which I think I've maybe always felt with the Stones, and that they are so much about the image and attitude. And I don't think I've just ever bought into it. So that side of it has always been a bit lost on me. But yeah, like I say, super thoughtful comment. Thanks for listening. Thanks for reaching out.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time to actually respond and kind of, I guess, educate us a little bit, because it's nice to get some feedback from someone who knows what they're talking about as well.
Yeah.
It's interesting the comment there about them crediting blues artists, which is admirable. But does that really go any way towards excusing them doing the voices and doing the impressions?
Not for me.
It's interesting.
Different time.
It is different times, and I'm conscious of that when I say that. Is like, judging people from things they did back then by today's values. Maybe it was a lot more right on than it feels now.
I think, and obviously we don't want to spend too long going back around this again, but I think if you listen to a lot of English bands in the 70s, there's a lot of American sounding accents coming out of them.
Oh, God, yeah.
The second piece of correspondence is from a great friend of mine, Noah Eve, who actually I mentioned in a previous episode. He introduced me to a lot of the music I ended up loving as a teenager, and took me to my first gig, the Little Angels, which we mentioned back in episode 2. He moved to Australia 15 years ago, actually, so I've not seen him in a long time. But we've had quite a lot of regular correspondence, certainly since this podcast began, because he's been enjoying it very much. And he sent us the following message. He said, loved the latest ep, listened twice, so pretty sure I don't need to listen to Exile now. Favorite quotes in no particular order. What a shit riff. Immediately tiresome, like sitting back in a combine harvester. Charlie Watts tippity-tappeting into my bad books. So funny. Great work, legends. And then he sort of grabbed hold of something you suggested, G, that we should do a future episode about great intros.
Oh, yeah.
So he's actually suggested some. The first one he suggested was People Equals Shit by Slipknot. Says, what the hell is going on? Are we aware of the intro to that?
I'm not.
I don't think I do know.
I remember it now.
Can I have a quick listen?
We were never a Slipknot household, were we?
Well,
when we were all
I
living together.
spent a long time with the first album, if you remember. I did have that, and I played that a lot and really enjoyed it, actually. But generally speaking,
Well, People Equal Shit is off that,
no,
isn't it?
it's the second
No,
album.
it's up Iowa, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Oh, all right.
All right, brace yourselves. There you go.
Yeah, sounds a bit like Joe Jordison's banging on a potty, isn't it? But it's got
I'll give him
something.
credit for that, because a conversation we've had loads of times over the years, right? Is heaviness in inverted commas when bands start going like that and just going ba, 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 ba. It isn't really heavy, sort of, in a way. It's just silly, to me at least. That's what it strikes me as, silly rather than, big and impactful. You've got to be careful how you use it. If people are listening to it and you're giving them the impression that you think that is the heaviest thing you do, you've done it wrong. But in that case, the whole point of all that is just to go wah! For a while, so that it can drop out and that riff comes in, and then it sets the scene for that riff. And then it's like, right, they're going to smash into it, and then they groove into a proper riff.
And they did it for longer than it felt like they were going to as well. There was that felt like a joke as well. It felt like they were coming round. It was like, here's that. No. Here we go one more time. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah. So that was a. Didn't you mention that a few episodes ago, right? The idea of something being a series of gags.
Yeah.
Musical gags. We used to write songs in Left Side Brain all the time like that.
Yes, that was right.
Yeah, exactly. We used to write songs like that all the time, right? It's like a series of musical jokes, and that is exactly what that is. And
we would call them grinners.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Other quick nominations for great intros: Ghostbusters, Ray Parker Jr., the spooky vibes going into the classic riff.
Yeah,
you know what that is as soon as it comes on, don't you? And similar sort of. The next one is "Jump Around" by House of Pain. He said it's from Harlem Shuffle, but it gives you just enough time to get onto the dance floor.
Yeah.
Absolutely takes me back to being a teenager at those club nights, rock nights, whatever it was. So you hear that coming on and everyone leaps up, runs over to the dance floor. He did follow up with a couple more, but I'll save those in case we actually do that episode.
Yeah.
Thanks, Noah.
You're
a lovely man.
Cheers, Noah.
And then the final bit of correspondence is from Mike Heffron, who we have heard from in a previous episode as well, but it's nice to know he's staying in touch and listening. This is to do with the satisfying riffs. Mike says, the album that springs to mind for me with satisfying riffs is the first Curb Dog album. The second intro riff on End of Green, or the intro to Dry Riser. And then he did add, very sensibly, I think I'm most in tune with Ollie in terms of what's satisfying.
Well, that's a shame.
It's going so well.
So there we go. More lovely correspondence.
Cheers, Mike.
Can I round out the correspondence with a thank you?
Mm-hmm.
So Paul last time messaged him with a satisfying riff from a band called Moth Gatherer.
Yeah.
I've had a listen to that record this week. The record Esoteric Oppression, and unsurprisingly from the snippet you played, it is right up my street. Wicked record. Thank you, Paul. Hefty, but then with all the right amount of kind of triumph and no hurry majesty right throughout. That's a keeper. Much appreciated.
Excellent.
I'll have to check that out.
Very happy note to end on. Well done.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's the end of the correspondence for this week. Thanks for sending that in. As ever, please get in touch. You can email us at leftsidebrainband@gmail.com. Message us via Instagram and Facebook, or leave a comment on Spotify, YouTube, wherever you listen to this pod.
You're just too good to turn down. You're just too good to turn down. You're just too good to turn down.
So it's only been a week, but as you set up very nicely last week, G and Rye, you went to a pretty exciting gig last night.
I'm still struggling to keep my eyes open as a result of it.
Yeah, we saw the mighty Angine De Poitrine in Strange Brew in Bristol last night, and Well, actually, first off, a bit about like it's only my second gig at Strange Brew. Before we get to how good they were, Strange Brew's absolutely wicked. It's like they've turned the venue around rather than being a long, thin thing where you're always really far from the band. It's like a short, wide thing, so everyone's sort
Yep.
of gathered around the stage. So if you're right at the back, you're still only about 10 people from the front.
And even when you're at the bar, you're also about still 4 meters away from the stage. And yet there's like what 300 people in there, maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's
So
it's very much not a purpose-built space that someone's just bought it and gone in there and gone, right, well, I guess we'll put a stage there and a bar there and we'll make it work. And
It's
it's just
wicked.
lovely. Vibes are through the roof. Lovely.
Yeah, maybe my favorite place to see a band in Bristol now. It's just wicked.
I saw the video you sent, and it looks a bit like the layout. Have you been to the 100 Club?
No.
On Oxford Street. Similar thing. Shallow, wide and shallow. But great.
Much
great
like
for
your good self.
Increasingly so.
And they were perfect. They were so good at it, considering what a complicated thing they've set themselves.
Yeah.
And
the welcome that they got was there was a lot of love in that room.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. People were just as was I, delighted for them to be there.
Yes. Lots of triangles made by hands and above the crowd. It was brilliant. And they obviously don't utter a word because they're, interplanetary beings, but they still managed to be like engaging and a bit funny.
Yeah.
Like by kind of standing up in between songs and just kind of going to the crowd. And seemingly having a conversation between them, and the other one would go.
How do they make those noises?
Well, if we're pulling back the curtain here, but I think they've got mics in their hats, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
How did you think they were doing it?
But maybe there's a button or something.
Oh right, yeah. No.
Yeah.
They were generally like there's bits where there are vocal bits in the songs where they both go at the right moments, Yeah, I mean they weren't moving around much, apart from obviously the drummer was swinging his nose around a bit, but it didn't seem to matter. They were absolutely hypnotic. It's really interesting seeing how their loop-based stuff translates, because it was like very regimented and hypnotic. The timing was, completely crisp and exact throughout the whole evening, and it did arguably sound a bit like the record playing, but then it wouldn't it? Because there's not much room for it to sound any different, I guess,
Well, you can't be that loose once you've
Yeah.
got a loop down, right?
Yeah, they just came out and nailed the record, really. Or
Yeah.
well, I suppose there were a few bits they dragged out and stuff, but
Yeah, there were. Yeah.
I watched their lead show online.
Oh, yeah.
Just a recording of it, and it sounded great and it looked great. But I was very amused. I don't know if you had this as well. Like, did they have a stage assistant as well who was
Yes.
dressed in the same costume?
Oh,
I mean,
no.
I
There
don't
was a
think there
guy
was a
that.
costume. No.
No. There was like a drum tech who came on and adjusted things, but they were just in jeans and t-shirts.
I saw like a female version come out and take a
really?
photograph of something.
Really cool.
Yeah.
I don't think she was there. It was fascinating. I got at one point there's a lovely little view you could get on the way to the bogs. You could stand almost exactly right behind the drummer and watch what he was doing. Yeah, fascinating stuff. He had a cymbal which I'd never seen before. It looked like if you heated a cymbal up too much and it sagged like a frown. He had one of them on top of his hi-hat. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, 3 of them. So it was like 3 of them stacked together.
Oh, was it?
I think it was. Yeah. I've seen. I think the Snapped Ankles drummer has similar thing.
But yeah, absolute delight. They were just everything that you could have hoped it was going to be. Partially, it was like a gig, but it also wasn't like a normal gig because it just felt like it was more of an event, like some sort of arty thing than
installation.
Yeah.
Well,
But no support band.
Yeah, and they were on at 8.
Advertised that they were eventually on at 8:30.
Was it?
And then, well, I guess with this band, why would there be? They haven't followed the rules on many other things. Oh, they were great.
Those costumes are starting to look a little bit rough and ready. Did you notice that, Ryan?
I didn't.
Do you think, right, that inevitably now they're out touring around the world and folding those things up and assembling them and disassembling them every day, inevitably they will wear out? Will there be a point where they have to either make new ones of the same thing, or at that point, would they design new costumes?
Like Slipknot did with the masks.
Yeah.
a fan of a V2, so it's
They'll
yeah,
get someone else will do it for them.
Yeah.
In a kind of classed up way.
Jean-Paul Gaultier.
Like Stan Winston Studio or something.
Who?
You know, the guy who did Terminator and Aliens and
H.P.
Nice.
Geiger.
yeah.
It also occurred to me, I don't know why it hadn't occurred to me, like watching them online or listening. Just, is it like every guitarist or bassist's dream to just have like, oh, do you know what? The way this band would be tighter is if I was just playing along with myself. These riffs would just sound better if it was me and me.
Well, that's what Billy Corgan does, right? Just like, I think I remember him saying how he found it really difficult being in the studio with the rest of the band because he's like, I could do this better. Give it here. There you go, done. Next.
Do you think they're better at looping than Ed Sheeran? The big
Yes.
questions. Okay.
Definitely. I think he's better at looping than anyone. Good grief.
Mm.
It was, it's crazy when you think about adding the layers on as you go. Also having to think about dynamics and bass lines. But on top of that, he's even laying down loops in advance of switching them on so they come in at the right time. How do you think of all that? That's crackers. Clearly been doing it for a long time.
They were brilliant.
When did this show go on sale?
February.
What venue do you think they could have filled in Bristol?
Well, interestingly, before this one has happened, they have already sold out the big room at Prospect, which is 3,000. So they've already sold out the 3,000 capacity room there before this 300 capacity gig had even happened.
When's that?
October.
Good for them.
Yeah. And meanwhile, they must have now a team of people wondering how they're going to go from like some polka dot sheets and two dudes on stage in a little room to what's their show like in a 3,000 plus room
where people at the back can barely see them, right?
Yeah, where you big screens and a lighting show and all the stuff that most bands take many years and gradually get towards, where they're like, oh, let's buy one more light for the next show. There's going to be 10 more people there.
Yeah, somebody somewhere is going to be saying, right, we've got to buy a touring rig and it's going to cost $325,000. It's crazy.
Nice problem to have.
Yeah. 3,000 people.
Crackers. Do we think they're going to suffer from the novelty wearing off? Because as much as you guys and I've now listened to their albums and I think they're amazing, but a lot of people will go once for the novelty and won't go back, I guess.
Especially when there's 3,000 people in Bristol turning up there.
Exactly.
What sort of cross section of people is that going to be? It's going to be fascinating.
But I think it'll settle to they've got millions and millions of Spotify listeners, and I think they'll come over the crest and settle at something that's still very big, because it's not like they have got there on some on gimmick and image alone. They are incredible at a really, really good genre of music, which there hasn't. The bands have been a bit like it, but there hasn't been a breakout act from that kind of weird instrumental thing as much of it as there's been over the last 20 years.
And they're very listenable.
Yeah.
It's not like something that's a bit hard going and novel. It's really easy going and novel.
I think there's probably a crossover between this. Well, you tell me guys what it was like last night, but I imagine it's not just bearded guys.
Loads of women there?
Yeah, I bet, because it's really groovy, really danceable.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, all very upbeat and positive.
Yeah, good for them.
All right, G, you said you would like to talk about the scratch.
Oh, yeah, man. So after the excitement of my discovery of Angine De Poitrine and getting so excited about a new band for the first time in ages, I then, within a couple of weeks, I stumbled on another one, The Scratch, who are an Irish band, and I am also massively pumped about. Quite difficult to even describe quite what it is that they are. They are like a rock band. They are definitely, there's an Irish sort of jiggy type thing going on somewhere in what they do, in the same way that Thin Lizzy had that sort of Irishy thing going on. They are mega Irish. It appears as well in terms of, the singing and the lyrics and all that sort of stuff. But also they're like a sort of a hardcore band, and a punk band and a sort of like an atmospheric sort of Deftonesy band at the same time, and they're playing all this sort of stuff together. And it's a mix. It's a mix of styles and things that I've never heard another band do. It's like they are so their own thing, which is just a delight. First time I properly listened to their album, the only thought I had in my head was just, what are they? What on earth is this band? What do they think they are? It makes no sense, but it works so well. And when they play, it turns out they've got like a singing drummer who plays two of those wooden box things. What are they called? Right? What are they called? The wooden boxes?
Hans.
Cajons, yeah. He plays two cajons and a hi-hat and a kick drum while he's singing. And two guitarists who play with loads of distortion and stuff most of the time, but they're playing on acoustics, and a bloke on bass. I've not done any justice to explaining this band or that record, but their most recent record, Pull Like a Dog, is I can't stop listening to it. It is so good. I would defy any of you three to listen to it and not feel
I've had a good
at least
few listens to
similarly.
it. Yeah, it's super passionate, and it's packed with energy, and it's also got time to be heavy and a bit spacious and weird and drummy
And heartbreaking and quiet.
Yeah.
And it's got there's a song with a riff in it that sounds almost, at least in terms of the tone of it and the effect that it has, almost identical to The Truth by Clawfinger. And I can't argue with that.
Quality
On the
band.
playlist. Go check it out.
Excellent.
Come back with your thoughts next episode.
Yes, sir.
Okie doke. Anything else anyone's done in the last week that they'd like to talk about?
On the way back on the train today, I watched Foo Fighters on Tiny Desk concert. It wasn't very good.
My careometer struggled to register. Yeah.
There was a time when I was excited by the Foo Fighters.
Wasn't this century?
No, yeah. They were like, a reasonably important band in my day-to-day listening, until, well, did we talk about this in a recent episode? I don't know. I mean, frankly, no one seems to want to say it out loud, but they immediately began to suck gigantically the moment that Taylor Hawkins started playing for them.
You could say, or you could phrase it another way and say, as soon as Dave Grohl stopped playing drums on the records.
Also that.
Yeah.
Although Taylor Hawkins, that reminds me, he holds the honor of being the only drummer who hits harder than you, right? Do you remember that? When we were playing in the Borderline, I think, in London, the sound guy, it was the classic sound check gambit for Left Side Brain, where he's setting up the drums and someone will say to him beforehand, he's quite a big hitter. And then the engineer goes, yeah, whatever, okay. And then he goes, put a snare, please. And you go, blat. And he goes, Jesus Christ.
Yes.
We did say, we were going through that usual thing and having a conversation with him about it. And he said, I've only ever known one drummer hit harder than that. And it was Taylor Hawkins, which is mad because when you saw him play, he didn't look like he's a big hitter.
No.
That's a technique, the kind of wrist snap.
Yeah. Something I didn't have.
Weird, isn't it? Just briefly on Foo Fighters. I've got a lot of affection for them personally. Like I really enjoy an interview with them. Always want to go back and check them out. But it's a bit like the latest Nightmare on Elm Street sequel or something, isn't it? You're just referring back to a film that was good 30 years ago. And you feel compelled to watch it. It's like a reheat of the formula, but maybe this is another episode where we can get into this, but I've got some theories on what's changed and why, apart from the songs suck and that kind of stuff.
I saw their performance on SNL UK the other week.
Oh yeah.
They performed a song called Child Actor, which was the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen them do. It was not only were they just phoning in this hard rock song, but lyrically it was tragic, I thought. Like he's singing about being a child actor, which he wasn't, obviously. And then the chorus just goes something like, is it turn the cameras off, turn the cameras off, turn the cameras off, turn the camera, like repeated a lot. And the whole band are all there just going, turn the cameras off, turn the cameras off, turn the cameras off. And it's just, are any of these, what do these guys think is happening here? They all look bored singing this song, which just seemed so bad. It felt like a real rock bottom point for what they've become, I've not listened to the album. Have you listened to it, Richie?
Yeah, I have. I've listened to it a couple of times, and it has some bright moments where you go, "Oh yeah, I kind of remember this. This is like some stirring of a memory." But I think Dave Grohl's. There's always this kind of. I don't know if it's the thing of being a big stadium act now, but there seems to be in most songs. There's a kind of. It has to drop down and then have this kind of redemptive build, like a stadium-y kind of. I've learned finally to love myself, love myself, love myself. And it just kind of builds like that. It's something. It's just like there's this. It's redemptive. It's like this kind of. That's the only way I can describe it. And it totally sucks balls. Rather than just give me a 3.5 minute song doing what you're doing. I don't like. And even live, I don't want to hear fucking 8 minute version of Monkey Wrench. Give me the 3.5 minute. Stop dicking around.
It sounds like what you're describing is that like just the descent into self-parody, right?
I don't know. I mean, I think they're really. There's some interesting interviews about how he's approached this album, and I kind of believe him that he's trying to do something, but he's trying to recreate something interesting. But I don't know. Maybe none of us really know how, when we're at our best, what's actually going on. Like, can you
True.
really analyze what it is that's working, and what you do to make it work?
It's really easy as a fan of any band. I do this all the time. Just think about like, if only I could sit down and have a chat with them. I would just explain to them the good bits of stuff that they do, and just tell them to just do that and not do the other stuff. And they'd be like, "Oh, brilliant, thanks, man." And they would just start doing that stuff, and then things would be better, right? As if that's how it would work.
Anyway, that's what I've been doing.
Well, by crazy coincidence, let's look at what was happening on this day in LSB history.
Almost had me multitasking, shitless, never notwithstanding. Almost had me billboard branding, showboat bastard. Almost had me.
So, one day ago yesterday, in 2002, we played at the Borderline in London.
What?
Hey!
What else do you remember about that gig other than the Taylor Hawkins hitting it harder than Ryan?
We played a cover, didn't we?
We did.
Did we? There was a big Caius sticker backstage. Caius had played there. I was quite excited about that.
Yeah.
So I've got Rich's diary of the day here. Essentially what happened, G, you were really poorly. You'd got a real bad problem with your throat and you'd been told to not talk for a week. We
Yeah.
cancelled 2 other gigs, but apparently, I can't remember quite how it went, but it sounds as though the promoter at the Borderline wasn't happy about the suggestion that we might cancel. So we kind of said we didn't want to upset the Borderline, so we'll go and somehow try and play a set without you singing. So
Right.
we did. One of the conditions of us playing the Borderline, because obviously the Borderline was a very famous venue in Soho in London. We were very keen to play there. It was a Sunday night, and the Sunday nights were new bands, but the condition is they had a theme each Sunday night, and each of the bands would have to play a cover by the band that was the theme that week. So we got Beatles Week. Do you remember this?
Oh, I remember we did like a cover of Fool on the Hill for
We
something
did.
else.
No, it was
didn't
for
we?
this that we did it.
Oh, I thought we did it for blowing our cover in Bristol.
That was the following year. We resurrected it for
Oh.
that, but we first
No
did it for this
way.
one. So basically, we cobbled together a set of all the stuff we did that you didn't sing on, and somehow got by. You still threw yourself around the stage like normal. You just didn't contribute any vocals, G.
Oh, no wonder it's all a bit of a blur. Is that the same bout of illness? I remember us playing a show somewhere that wasn't London, and I was so ill that I had to lean up against a pillar for the show.
I think that was Coventry. It
Yeah.
was a separate time.
Right. Well, that's rock and roll.
It was. So this is from Rich's diary of the night. It says, I think that Ollie and I handled the responsibility without cracking too badly, leaving G to throw himself around in his usual charismatic and sweaty manner. It was a very short set, but of note for 2 main reasons. The unveiling of our new song, All I Said, and our intestine shredding version of Fool on the Hill, the Beatles classic.
What's All I Said?
I think it's Fallout,
Fallout.
isn't it?
Oh, was
First
it?
ever playing of Fallout.
Really? What's All I Said? Is that a lyric in it?
So
Yeah,
first lyric, innit?
it's the first lyric. That's very emo.
So what a coincidence after just talking about that.
Indeed. I had one other left side brain thing to mention before we went on to the next topic. And that was when we were at the gig last night with our friend John, who seems to be at pretty much every Bristol gig I go to be honest. And he said he'd seen a Left Side Brain shirt out in the wild. He was, I think, running a diving course in Swanage, and someone turned up in a Left Side Brain t-shirt.
Amazing.
Really?
Yeah.
As you pointed out at the time, right, when you think about it, that means that someone has gone through their wardrobe and thought, what's the shittest t-shirt I've got that I don't mind wearing to this diving lesson? And
Yeah,
that's the one
yeah.
we chose.
Yeah, and it turns out it's like, is this old t-shirt my dad no longer cares about? But they exist, and somebody wore one.
Well, fair play to whoever that is.
Yeah.
Thank you. Flying the flag.
Next one I've got is 2005. Again, on the 12th of May, we played at the Croft. And I thought, just another Croft gig. We played there many, many times. But I did manage to find some details about it, actually, looking through the archives. So this was a 5 miles high event. Do you remember that?
No.
Rings a bell.
I think we headlined and we played with A Lion and Go Die X.
No idea.
Nope, and no.
Well, I found a post on our message board from a couple of days later, G, from you, saying that the Croft completely kicked arse. We had a complete blast and even managed to showcase the first song to emerge from our new album Panic sessions. Right now, the song remains nameless and the lights were so dim on stage that I couldn't read the words, so there may have been a little improv during the verses. But hot damn, it's one great big slice of high velocity entertain meat.
Did you say that the album's called what?
No.
Panic?
I think new album Panic sessions, because this was May 2005, so we had 4 or 5 months left before we knew we were recording Action Potential. So I guess we were starting to panic and try and rehearse more often and write lots of new stuff.
What song do you think that was? Exit Route?
Could be. I think that came early.
Yeah, I can't remember what sort of order we
At your own risk.
did stuff in.
Yeah, could be.
Well. Anyway, and then the final one, I just wanted to, again, we talked about this last week, but the phony tour was still going on this very day in history. 2006, we played at the Mexborough Civic for the first time.
Mexborough.
First of 3 times.
We had some good ones there at some point. Is this a good one?
This was the first one. It seems, I think, again, I looked back through the message boards. We seemed to enjoy it the first time we played there.
Mexborough is a place that only exists in my memory of us having been there 3 times we played it. I've never heard it mentioned or appear on any maps anywhere in society outside of that. And I've mentioned it to people from, I assume, was it in the north?
It's in South Yorkshire.
Yeah, so I've mentioned Mexborough to people who are in like the northeast.
No.
I've never heard of it either.
No. Like it's South Yorkshire. If you're from like northeast, if you're from Newcastle, that's not the north.
And then the night after Mexborough was the Bolton gig that we mentioned last week, where we all wore fancy dress.
And we played just to the other bands who also played just to the other bands.
Absolutely.
We all just played to each other dressed in fancy dress.
Again, Rich mentioned on our forum at the time that it was a landmark gig for LSB in Bolton last night as we unveiled our new medieval stage costumes, which obviously made people sit up and take notice. I think you took photos, but I don't know what happened to them, Rich. I don't know if you'll have to dig those out of the archive. Interestingly, I've been going through the archive myself a lot recently. And as you know, I bought a camcorder back in the tail end of 2004 and started videoing everything we did all the way through to our last gig at the Louis. But it seems I didn't take it with us on that phony tour. There was no video footage of that phony tour. No memory why. Interesting, that phony tour. I think 3 or 4 of those gigs ended up being cancelled at short notice. I remembered when we were talking about it last week, I forgot to mention, do you remember we went to Merthyr Tydfil and we stood outside the venue of some phony all afternoon and the promoter never turned up and wasn't answering their phone. And in the end, we just decided to go home because clearly there was no gig on, but we'd all driven all the way to Merthyr Tydfil.
I know.
Remember, there were no adverts for the show on the venue, but there was adverts for the wrestling.
Should have gone back for that.
Final mention of the Bolton gig goes back to you, Rich. You said, on the LSB message board at the time, what I have learnt, though, is gaffer taping a medieval shield to your chest can get you pretty sweaty.
Yeah.
Good lesson to learn.
True that.
So there we go. That's what we're up to in the distant past.
One more time in the firing line. It's hard time. We've always right. One more time in the firing line. It's hard time. We've always right. We've always right.
All right, so this week we decided to look at Rolling Stone magazine's very recent issue on the 100 greatest guitar solos of all time. So before we start looking at what Rolling Stone have listed, and we're going to look specifically at the top 10 tonight, we haven't got time to go through the whole 100. Before we look at any specifics, I thought it was worth us just having a quick chat about what we think makes a great guitar solo and how we define this, because I think there's different ways of approaching it. It'd be very easy for each of us to put our favourites in, but if you're in the boots of Rolling Stone and you have to put an article like this together, how do you approach it? How do you define what great means? So I thought let's have 2 minutes talking about that before we get into the specifics. I think personally, great is a little bit like when we talked about the Rolling Stones last week. Context is quite important here because there's lots of ways of looking at it, but great doesn't necessarily mean best. So not technically best, for example. And I think if you look back through who's included and the solos that are included, sometimes it's not necessarily the best solo by that guitarist in their career, or often it's not. But the song is very important in the scheme of things. So, it's got a very famous solo in it, for example, that led the way for lots of guitarists who followed. That would qualify it, even if it's not considered that own guitarist's best solo, for example. So I think it's worth us having 2 minutes on that sort of discussion to see if we're all coming at it from the same angle, or perhaps we're all approaching it from a completely different viewpoint.
I think you're right. A really big important part of this in the world of guitars is, particularly because a lot of this stuff is like 70s sort of, is that there was a really fertile period of time from the 60s through maybe to the 80s where it was still evolving as a discipline, and there were still people coming out doing stuff that had been invented, new stuff that no one had ever heard anyone do before. And that is really important in terms of whether something is like a classic, important solo, right? These days, there are still people in the world of guitar who are doing stuff that hasn't been done before, but it's getting pretty niche. That field's been trampled down pretty hard now. There's not very many blades of grass left that haven't been picked. But yeah, a lot of this stuff, context is 100% key with it.
Yeah. Right.
I think my favorite kind of guitar solo is that doesn't take very long. Like, just kind of guitarist gets in there, sounds like they're probably losing a fight with their guitar, and then just kind of escape out the other side, or not unscathed, and then you're back into the song tearing away. I think that's different to what's the greatest. I think greatest is something that kind of drips with emotion a bit. And again, context and absolutely everything that sits in a spot in a song where it's earned its spot and tells a bit of the story and really makes you feel something. That's probably what makes it
serves the song, right?
Yeah.
Rich?
I have been working today on my guitar solo categorization index, and I wanted to try it out.
Look out.
I think there are 7 types of guitar solo. I've been trying to drill it down, but I can't get any lower than 7. So I'm going to hit you with this, see what you think. So I think number 1 is stately. So Dave Gilmour.
I'm going to write these down. Yeah.
Does Noel Gallagher fit in stately as well?
Oh, maybe we can do some blending. I reckon you can use these to describe all the different guitars. So number 2 is self-indulgent, virtuoso. So Yngwie Malmsteen, Steve Vai. 3 is anti-virtuoso, like Johnny Greenwood. Deliberately not going with it. 4 I call blue murder, which is like when you're trying to like you're having a panic attack while trying to throttle a goose.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like Page Hamilton,
like
Bob Mould, exactly.
Yeah.
So stately, self-indulgent, virtuoso, anti-virtuoso, blue murder. 5 is badass, Jimmy Page. 6 is I call Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Which is like
fusion, you mean?
Could be. Just sounds like it could be a Mario Kart.
Yeah.
And then 7 is crap, which is John Frusciante. So I think it's not perfect, but that's how. And personally, I'm a big fan of Blue Murder and Stately and Mario Kart, but everybody's partial to a bit of badass. But just finish off to answer your question, Al. I think it captures the spirit of the song, doesn't it? Good solo. I don't think you can have a great guitar solo without a great song. To your point, but it does something with the spirit of it. It's like a release. It's the thing that words can't say. I used to hate guitar solos. There's a point where I was just pretentious, but now I love them. Maybe I'm just getting older and more sentimental, but that's it. It's almost like a release, the spirit of the song.
Can we hope for you to be classifying each one of these solos as we go now?
Yes.
Thank you.
I think your categories, Rich, are wonderful. I think there might be one more, or maybe you can tell me it fits within one of these categories, which is the kind of solo which is just play the chorus melody.
Oh, the Rivers Cuomo special.
Yes, yeah. I think
Ooh.
Kurt did a bit of it.
Lazy?
Sometimes it works super
it
well,
does.
man.
Out of interest, before we do
Anyway.
move on to the actual ones, where would Tom Morello fit in the 7, do you think?
Badass and virtuoso.
I love the formalization of this.
We're drawing up a Venn diagram at the
fantastic.
end.
I tried to get a spectrum as well, from like tasteful over to non-tasteful, but it would stretch me too much. Maybe
Yeah,
next
Rich,
time.
you didn't have a virtuoso category. You had a self-indulgent category. You had an
Oh, self-indulgent.
anti-virtuoso.
No, it's self-indulgent virtuoso.
Oh, okay, sorry, I've
Anti
written them down wrong.
virtuoso. So sorry. I'll get a t-shirt printed.
So something you said, Roy, and I think Rolling Stone mentioned this in their description of how they've gone about doing this. They have allowed a few instrumentals. So maybe a 30-second discussion on, do we consider a full instrumental to qualify as a guitar solo for the purposes of this exercise?
You mean the actual instrumental overall, or just a guitar solo element of an instrumental?
So, for example, there's a Steve Vai in the middle of the hundreds somewhere that is a piece of, it's a composition, isn't it? An end-to-end piece.
I see. Does it count as a guitar solo if it's not a bit that's in the song?
Now, it's blurred lines because Joe Satriani, for example, would play a song on the guitar, but in the middle of it, he'd actually have a defined solo in the middle of it, even though the rest of it had been his guitar in place of singing. But there are some in here that are pure instrumentals.
Is the Steve Vai song, is it For the Love of God? There isn't really a solo in that.
I think as long as you can feel it lift off and you go, oh, guitar solo, that sort of separates it.
Well, it does have, it has a bit in it where it goes like extramental. I do love that song with all my heart. But is it guitar solo?
No, I think I can allow it as a definition.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, I think let's jump straight to the top 10 because we could spend days on this if we're not careful. So let's run through the top 10 and let's talk through them. So we start at number 10, the Beatles, While My Guitar Gently Weeps. But as we know, it's actually Eric Clapton playing the solo and not a member of the Beatles.
I'm happy to start on this one. And I know it's a very famous song and famous for exactly what you said, being George Harrison's song, and Clapton comes in and does a solo. But off the top of my head, I wasn't that familiar with it, specifically. So I put it on with quite high hopes. Boy, was I disappointed. There's early on in the song, there's a solo, which is quite sort of low key and a bit, it was probably a context thing that back then it might have been quite mind blowing, but it sounds pretty trite and low energy. And what I've written in my notes here, it sounds like me if I could play slide. And I don't mean that as a compliment. And after that, I was waiting for the big solo at the end, and it gets to the end, and there isn't a big solo at the end, and that was it. And I was like, what?
I quite liked it at the end.
Yeah, but there wasn't much of it,
No, there wasn't much of it, but there was a lot of feeling.
Yeah, I was disappointed by it.
Oh, fair enough.
So I think I've identified something that I don't know if I'm being unreasonable or not. And again, context of the time, and like you said earlier, G, a lot of these come before lots of people have done this.
Yeah.
But there is a chord sequence that appears in 3, 4, 5 of this top 10.
Is it this and Stairway to Heaven for a start?
It's an absolute gimme to solo over.
Descending chords.
It just asks for the most beautiful, majestic solo over the top.
Yeah.
And this is one of them. It's that 8, 7, 6 kind of chord sequence. Like you say, Stairway to Heaven's got it.
Is Hotel California got it?
Comfortably Numb?
Maggot Brain's got it with an extra. Comfortably Numb's got it at the end, although again adds an extra chord in. But yes, and I think I say the chords are an absolute gimme to a good guitar player. You could play something beautiful, and Gilmour absolutely does it. We'll talk about that when we get to that one. I don't think Clapton does it. I think it's clearly improvised. And he misses some tricks, I think. Knowing what a good guitarist he is, it's underwhelming, I think, this one.
I've never rated him. He just seems like the tamest, least exciting guitar player you could possibly have. For someone who was called God, he's just, I can only assume it's context, and no one had played that before he did because he's just
Yeah, it is
so
what,
boring.
1968 or something, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but he's still, you
Yes.
see him today. You see,
True,
see him
true.
in his pomp
Uh,
in the 80s with his suit sleeves rolled up. He's still just like boring,
Yeah, fair.
and it's just like Richie, you were saying about badass. He is the least badass guitar player you could possibly imagine. He's just rotten.
Wasn't impressed particularly. My God, it's a beautiful song though. George Harrison can
beautiful
write.
Yeah,
song. Fantastic
beautiful
song.
song. And I really like the second one. Like, I know there's not much of it, but I feel like there's a lot of feel in that. And yeah, that the second passage that does it for me.
That chorus is
And of course,
so beautiful.
at is it number 14? I'm just pulling up the list. Is the Prince version that he did at
Which
Oh, is
the
it?
tribute.
Oh yeah, that is
George Harrison.
which is wonderful.
something.
Also, a little side note, I realized that in My Guitar Gently Weeps, you know the bit where it goes, na 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 na. That's and I want you to know. Do you know what I'm saying? Isn't it?
I've had those two songs merging into each other in my head for days. Absolutely. All right, we need to move on. Number 9, we have Maggot Brain by Funkadelic, the solo by Eddie Hazel from 1971. G?
I already knew this one, and I knew I loved it already, and I was excited just as a reason to put it on and revisit it. I love that was in the top 10 as well. It's such an insane thing. What's the quote in the intro when it starts off? Just absolutely
Something
slayed
about
me.
Earth having an infection. It's like, oh no, Earth is pregnant for the third time. Like, this grand, yeah.
It's just the whole thing is it is a song. Actually, it's not really a song so much. This is just like a big long solo, really. They've just said go for it,
Yeah.
mate, and I love it because it's so raw. Like the tone that he's got on his guitar is super raw and horrible, and it sounds like it's loud as shit in a room. He's got like a disgusting fuzz on it, like a fuzz face or something with an octave sort of fuzz, and it's just a bloke hanging out with that sound in a room for ages. It's got that lovely doubling effect in stereo where everything that you hear on the right comes at you about a quarter of a second later on the left. And that just works really well in making it sort of just richer and a more interesting listen because you find yourself listening to everything twice and thinking a bit more about it as it goes, and it gives it loads of space. I think it's heartbreaking stuff. Amazing. I love that you can hear that every time he stops doing anything, he's fighting not to get that guitar feeding back because there's probably like a full stack cranked in the room next to him. I adored it. It was fantastic, and I couldn't get enough of it, even though it went on for about 23 minutes. Fantastic. By the time it gets to the end, there's a crescendo at the end, and yeah, it didn't outstay its welcome in any way. I thought it was fantastic. Loved it. Oh, also, one final note. First time I ever heard the name Eddie Hazel. There's a Goat Boy song where he goes, Eddie Hazel, baby. And only years later put two and two together that it's the Maggot Brain guy.
I've got lots of similar thoughts. I think that I can't help but love the tone. It just sounds unwieldy and beautiful. And there's bits in it where you feel like he, as a player and the emotion, he's like touching the void. He's almost crossing into the other side. But I do feel like it's too long. I feel like the overall instrumentation in it, with that just haunting arpeggio, there's not enough for it to earn its 10 minutes or whatever. I feel like for me, it ends up feeling like it's plodding towards that thing rather than me just hanging on every squeal. So love the idea. I don't buy into it as a whole.
I think I'm in a similar camp to you, Rai. I think I would have felt very differently in 1971 if I'd been a young guitarist. I would have been mind blown. But I think these days, again, it's another gimme chord sequence. It's roughly the same with an extra chord. If you were given 10 minutes to play over these chords, you'd come up with some pretty lovely stuff as well, I think. Not to take away from the quality, because there's some really lovely moments in it. But it is 10 minutes, and I'm torn on this one, really torn on it, because I think you said earlier, Rai, that your favourite solos sort of come in and go and, and play that part and don't outstay their welcome.
Yeah, well, and the great ones kind of occupy a spot in a song that tells a bit of the story. This is an opening track of an album.
Yeah.
I'm not invested in anything.
But yeah, like I said, I'm really torn on this one. I don't really necessarily
Yeah.
disagree with anything you said, G. I just
No, no.
I can see both sides of the argument. I can't really decide which side of the fence I end up on.
Just to add in, I've checked the lyric from the start of the song. Mother Earth is
That's
pregnant
it.
for the third time, for y'all have knocked her up. I have tasted the maggots in the mind of the universe. I was not offended, for I knew I had to rise above it all, or drown in my own shit. And then it begins.
Oh, there's so much to love about it.
Mm.
There is. And while I'm criticizing the fact that I'm not invested, the spirit of putting that as your opening track is a heck of a statement. It's just
Absolutely.
On a funk record.
Yeah, I tired by the end of the tape.
Rich, just before I bring you in, other quick facts about this one. Apparently, he was tripping his balls off when he recorded it, and it is a one-take improvisation.
Yikes.
And George Clinton told him the first half, "Imagine your mother's just died," and for the second half of the solo, he told him, "Imagine you found out she's alive after all." So the first half is all this really emotional stuff, and the second half is supposedly soaring because he's had this good news about his mother. Sorry, Rich.
Oh, but actually, Rich, before you start your bit, did you categorize the last one?
What was the last one?
While my
Guitar
guitar
weeps.
gently weeps.
Oh, crap and stately. Yeah, I love this. I love that album. I find it quite transporting, as G says, and I guess it because you don't really listen to it as a guitar solo. It's which of course it is, but yeah, it's a journey. Yeah, I really feel the emotion in this one, and just you saying that really made me feel quite emotional. Actually, so I feel that. I feel that.
Mission accomplished, right?
Mm.
Art success.
Cool. All right, we better move on. Number 8 is Kid Charlemagne by Steely Dan. Guitarist soloing is Larry Carlton.
Has anybody heard this song before?
I hadn't.
No,
I was
didn't
aware of
know
it.
Yeah.
People talk about the solo in Kid Charlemagne as being like a high point of stuff. And I've heard Larry Carlton stuff, but I don't think I knew this song.
What a track.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
lovely.
Wow.
Lovely stuff, isn't it?
Start to finish.
Lyrically.
Have you done much of a Steely Dan listen?
No.
at all?
I
'Cause
have this week. I've listened to this whole record. It's so good.
I
they're,
listened to their first couple of albums quite a lot a few
Yeah.
years ago, and they are like just hit after hit. So good.
They're brilliant. And I've listened to a Donald Fagen solo record as well. He's also brilliant. This is saucy as hell, isn't it?
It is. I mean,
Mario
it's
Kart.
the absolute opposite of what's come before, isn't it? It's
Did you say this is Mario Kart?
100%, 100%, and brilliant for it.
It's like unbelievably musical.
Yeah.
He's doing a thing, right?
Yeah.
There's a technique in there. It's a jazz thing. They call it playing the chords. The scale that he's using to play that solo, that chord sequence is really complicated, and they're really fussy chords underneath it. And every time they change the chord changes, he changes the notes he's choosing to match whatever that chord is, which is why it just sounds so amazingly connected into what's going on underneath, and so saucy and cheeky and lovely.
But he just does it with
Beautiful, isn't
such great feel, though, doesn't it? It's all
Yeah.
so legato and joined up. There's no kind of, it's just falls
The
under
phrases.
his fingers perfectly.
Yeah.
The second solo apparently was done in one take. And I've just put so tasty, those bends, just perfect. Yeah.
He's like a very just so player. You can tell, isn't he? Like he's standing there and just very carefully playing it all perfectly, rather than chucking his guitar around and wringing its neck. He's a gentle.
Not Blue Murder.
Yeah.
Did you like this one, Rich?
Loved it. I thought, wow, what a super interesting band. I know nothing about it. Even I thought the lyrics were brilliant, intelligent, interesting, bizarre.
I bet there's like half a dozen tracks of theirs. You'd be like, oh, that's Steely Dan. Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Loved it.
They're yacht rock, right? Which is right up your street.
Yeah.
Gotta love a bit of yacht rock. I've written on my notes here some absolutely lethal notes to change chords on. Like, because he's doing that playing the chords thing. So you choose a note at the end of your bit over this chord that is going to fit in an interesting way over the next one. And there's one of them in there which just made me want to shit my pants. It was so cheeky and beautiful. Like, it would be a horribly wrong note if they didn't then change to a chord underneath it, which makes it the best possible note.
Like,
Amazing.
it's something
Amazing.
beautiful about that. It didn't make me shit my pants. It made me want to shit my pants. Like, maybe fill me with desire.
As a treat.
Yeah.
I've also written, this makes Clapton sound like Keith Richards.
Burn. All right, number 7, Stairway to Heaven. Before this came out last week and before doing this exercise, if someone had stopped me on the street and said, what's the greatest guitar solo of all time? I think I would have said Stairway to Heaven. What is it? Classy, technical, tasteful, fits the song perfectly. No wasted bits. It's just right for the song. Doesn't outstay its
Tells a
welcome,
story,
despite
right?
being long. It's quite a long solo, but doesn't outstay its welcome. It finishes with a flourish that sets up the vocals coming in. It's just, it's the perfect guitar solo.
It's got a build, isn't it?
Yeah.
The track. I know the whole of the song is a build, but the bit towards the solo, it just kind of does all these chimes and builds, and you're like, oh, go on, you better have something good here, boys. Well, what you build into, and boy, oh boy, do they.
It's a great example of, I'm sure I've said this on a previous one, lyrical things. Like, it sounds as though, like if the way that, Sweep from Sooty, even though he's just making noises, you can get there's a lyrical nature to it, right? Like, he's trying to make a point with a series of sounds. And it's like that with a good guitar solo, if it's a lyrical one, that it almost sounds, and this is maybe just part of the way my brain works, that I hear riffs like that and I hear solos like that a bit, in that it's like someone going saying something, and you can hear the cadence of it being like an argument is being made about this, however that, or however, but then this, and then have you thought of that? And this does exactly that. It tells like a story almost without words, of like it's making a series of points up to a crescendo where it finishes explaining itself. Does that sound mental?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it doesn't. I know exactly what you mean. And then, to continue your conversation thing, almost my favorite bit of it is the trade-off once it's built to the lyrical bits, and then he's backing off against it, almost like they're arguing with each other. It's like,
yeah. But call and response. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that solo.
Yes.
For the record, the only one on this list that I can play.
Ooh.
Not as well as Jimmy Page, but also interestingly, it's debated, but there is one of the notes is said to be a bum note in that solo.
It's part of the solo. It's
Do you know the one I mean?
I know the one you mean, but I'm not sure it's a bum
It's
note.
like there's
I think I've just listened
G,
to
I think, in there.
Listened to it so many times over the years that it just fits as part of it now, doesn't it?
Yeah. I wouldn't have it any other way. I wonder, was it intended or not?
Interesting sitting down to listen to these songs we've heard dozens of times before. But I put this on the train just thinking it was going to be in the background until we got to the solo. And I just thought, oh my God, this song is so good. I know that's hardly the most interesting thing to say, but it's just like, fucking hell, it's all so good. It's like wonderful. And the solo's wonderful.
All right, number 6, Johnny Be Good, Chuck Berry, 1958. The template for so many solos to come.
Actually, having said that Stairway was the only one I could play, this is the only one that I've ever actually played on stage, although I didn't play it the same as this. I played a much more wholly inappropriate and poorly attempted series of things that were beyond my physical limitations. I listened to this and I came up with nothing. I've got nothing to say about this. It so is what it is. I have no opinion on it.
It's a really difficult one, isn't it?
It's impossible.
What are you going to say about it?
It's just you can't grasp what it sounded like.
Yeah.
Like, it is. Yeah, listening
it's
to
beyond a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, it is.
It doesn't count.
It is, and the whole band is just ripping for like 2 minutes and 30 seconds or whatever it is. They're just absolutely ripping. And I left it thinking, oh yeah, really good solo bit. Who's that piano player? Like, it's like so good. Yeah, amazing.
I drew a blank in the best possible way.
Rich, do you hate this one?
No, I don't really have too much to say about this one. It's like foundational, isn't it?
It's a piece of history, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great. It's not one that I would particularly get very excited about, but I'm delighted it exists. Like it's a
What
fundamental part of
category
our culture.
does it fall under?
Ooh, I'll come back to you on that one.
Anti-virtuoso?
I'm badass.
Yeah, it could be.
Badass.
Did we get Jimmy Page categorized, by the way?
He's just all badass.
Stately in that
It's
one?
Yeah,
pretty
it's
stately, though.
stately. Yeah, badass,
Mm.
stately.
And talking about earth-shattering and groundbreaking and everything else, number 5 is Eruption by Van Halen.
Another one that it's. I mean, if you're on guitar YouTube, as most guitar players tend to be, Eruption is just everywhere, and everyone can play it. And I can't, but I mean, everyone can. Again, it's almost hard to have something to say about it because it's just so written in stone about how important it is. I think that my favorite thing about it is probably my favorite thing about Eddie Van Halen, which I think something that he does that the enormous swathes of people who came after him completely failed to do, is he sounds like he is having an enormous amount of fun when he's playing. Like he is like pissing around, like, look what I can do, and that was somehow missed by everyone who followed him. That sense of just like dangerous, listen to this crazy shit I can do. And he's as delighted about it as you are, which I think it's just a beautiful thing. It obviously is incredibly important if we're talking about classic things being important things and things being doing something that no one had ever heard before and stuff. This is that.
Yeah.
Good God, he famously back in the early days would do this bit with his back to the audience so no one could steal it.
Mm.
And yeah, I mean, this just like one of the most important pieces of guitar solo that was ever soloed, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
You say that. I'd never heard this piece of music before.
Oh, wow.
Me neither.
Well, I will be fascinated to hear what you think about it.
Absolutely brand new to me. I don't think I knew that Van Halen even made music in 1978. Like a lot of them, the sound is just so juicy. It sounds majestic. Like you said, hard to grasp. Like I found myself looking at the dates of some of the other solos, just like, okay, this is only 7 years after Stairway to Heaven. It sounds like it's from a different planet to that. It doesn't sound like the same instrument. It's absolutely wild.
Like, what a leap.
Yes.
No.
Yeah. And it also made me realize that, I was a massive Extreme fan, and you just kind of realize, oh, right, so Nuno was just doing this, right?
I mean, he's self-confessed.
Yes.
World's biggest Eddie Van Halen
Oh, yeah,
fan.
exactly. Yeah, very good.
Rich?
I think skip past me on this one. I don't really have too much to say. I enjoyed it, but it didn't register. I don't have that too many opinions on it.
Will you categorize it for us?
Yeah, I mean, it's self-indulgent virtuoso, isn't it?
Oh, every day. Yeah.
But probably with some badass. Awesome Mario Kart.
Yeah.
I always had a particular fondness for that little bit where he references a Kreutzer violin study, which probably means nothing to you. There's a bit in the middle where that's a violin study that I learned when I was learning the violin.
Oh, really?
Very famous.
But he was like, I think, was he a violin guy or a pianist guy? Like he was classically trained.
Yeah, so it's for people who learn the violin, it's everyone learns it at some point, but it's not a famous piece of classical music because Kreutzer
the trumpet bit.
Yeah,
la 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 la.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah, it's a violin study, and because it was by a composer called Kreutzer, who was more of a violin teacher rather than a famous composer. No one's really heard of him outside of violinists who learn his set of studies when they're
amazing.
Yeah.
Another solo where apparently famously there is a bum note in there somewhere. I don't know where it is on this one. I think it was meant to be that the legend says that they were in the studio doing their first record, and the producer walks in the room and he's playing this, and he goes, "What's that?" And he goes, "I don't know. It's just a thing I do when I'm mucking about when I'm warming up." And he goes, "Right, we're recording that." And he goes, "Oh, okay, sir." They record it. I think he did it in either 1 or 2 takes. And then in all the years later, how important that ended up being, he was gutted that there was a bum note in it and he was too green to have the balls to say back to the producer, "I got to do that again. That's not right." He just got, "Oh, okay." And then this just like millstone around his neck for the rest of his career. Maybe.
Just before we move on, interesting, I think what you were saying about it sounding like it's from the future if you compare it to only a few years before. Of course, in Back to the Future, when he dresses up as a space alien and plays this music, they got Eddie Van Halen to record something. But to give that, because it was so much far removed from Johnny Be Good, which he obviously also plays in the film. And I think it says Edward Van Halen on the tape because of they were tied to their record label who wouldn't release him to do it or use some existing music. He recorded something himself for the film, and that's why it says Edward Van Halen rather than Van Halen on the tape.
That's what Marty does at the end of his solo, doesn't he? Johnny Be Good. He goes
He
into
then
like Van
he
Halen.
disappears off into a Van Halen type thing.
Mm.
All right, let's move on. Number 4, Comfortably Numb by Pink Floyd.
Noel Gallagher's favourite guitar solo.
Yeah.
It's one of mine. This song is an absolute favourite of mine. I love it. That video of Gilmour appearing with Roger Waters at the wall, the O2, where he just appears as a surprise for everyone. I mean, it's one of my favourite videos on YouTube. We've watched it together, haven't we?
Yeah, I love that one, man. I do go back to that from time to time.
Yeah, it's just all the feels in it. The first solo is just majestic over major chords, and then the second solo at the end is over those 3 chords again. And obviously, it drops down at the end, but it's another gimme. But he absolutely nails it. Every note is perfect. I like to think they sort of faded it out because he just kept going for hours because it was just such fun to play over. It's an absolute classic. You can't argue with this one.
That's the beauty of a good fade out in any song is this notion of like, and they kept playing until the sun came up. I've got some notes on this one. I said first solo in it is epic, but it's really like innocently hopeful in its sort of vibe. And then when it comes in for the second solo later, it's way more badass. And it sounds as if in the interim between those 2 solos, he's been off for a few pints and he's coming back to cut some heads. Yeah, an actual pinchy in there. Pinched harmonic is is never unwelcome, and coming from Dave Gilmour, it's just unexpected and hilarious. Yeah, I think difficult to comment on it again. It's just so perfect. It's got all those lovely rakes in it when he goes bah instead of just going bah.
Yeah, and he always repeats. He plays them
kills me.
live, doesn't he? Every little pick is intentional.
Yeah, beautiful. Impossible not to know.
I found myself a bit lost for words on this. The only thing I've noted in my 2 listens is the word spiritual.
Yes, it's glorious, isn't it?
Yeah, wonderful.
Glorious is the word.
Great.
And is it
Stately.
stately in extreme? Surely.
Stately in extreme.
Yeah.
What's better than that?
Well, top 3. Number 3, Hotel California by the Eagles. Clearly a classic. The first solo is Joe Walsh, and the second is Don Felder, and then they come in together to meet at the end. And I think it's really, everyone knows the sort of dual guitar bit at the end, but what stood out to me on my listens over the last few days is how good the individual solos are before it. They are just
they're like a
so
series of
good.
phrases, aren't they?
They're just, again, it's not a wasted note. Nothing that wasn't perfect for that moment in the sequence of things. It's glorious. And then they come in together, and it's obviously it's fantastic. The only problem with it, the fade happens too quickly for me at the end.
Yeah, I was amazed at how quickly it stops.
Yeah,
it's only just got going.
Yeah,
and then it fades out, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a really awkward, unnecessary quick fade at the end. I didn't like that. But yeah,
I'm ready for 3 more minutes of that at that point. And but yeah, the amount of taste in the phrasing of those solos is just, it's like I'm going to say a little thing using 12 notes, and then I'm going to say another thing using 12 notes in a second afterwards, and then another thing, and each one is different and beautiful and cheeky and amazing in different ways. It's so good and so perfectly played.
Yeah,
perfectly played. It's just the whole thing. You say it fades out quickly. The whole 6 odd minutes is just perfect music. You just can't. Yeah. And when it gets to the bit where it sounds like it's two people trading off before they lock into the harmony bit. Again, I just love that conversation.
I think it's a really written solo, isn't it? I've got a feeling I'd read somewhere that the fellow who has to do the harmonies was like, oh shit, what's he written for me now? This is all really difficult. Have I maybe also read like him saying like about how some of those, maybe the bits with the big slides when it goes that those slides, he said, if I realized how many times I was going to have to play that for the rest of my life, I would not have written them as difficult plays.
How are we categorizing Eagles, Richie?
stately.
lately. A bit of badass, I think, when it gets going into the
Yeah.
harmony guitars. I never really thought about it being two guitarists, but of course it is. The harmony guitars at the end there. But it's great. I love the Eagles.
Yes.
There are, I think, two amazing pinches in this track that he hits them and they resonate, like they go right in your ear hole and vibrate your brain the way that he's caught them. And I don't know how they've done that, but it's perfect. And it must have been accidental, but it just sounds absolutely fantastic. And there's a lovely moment when the main solo starts, the whole band stops very briefly, and then it comes in with him, which is like the whole band acknowledging, check this out. And I love the way it just works so beautifully. Like, oh, now it's the solo. Introduces it better than anything else on this list gets introduced.
All right. Number 2, Machine Gun, Jimi Hendrix. The top 10, certainly, it's the only live one. This was never recorded in a studio. It's from a live album.
It's a weird record, right?
Mm.
I used to have a copy of this on like a really shitly recorded tape years and years and years ago. And this actually isn't the Jimi Hendrix Experience. He had another band after that, called the Band of Gypsies. So he's got a different bloke on bass, different bloke on drums, and this is just some famous show of theirs that they recorded, and it's all about Vietnam, serious business. What did you guys think of it?
That's another one I had never heard, not a track I'd even heard of, and he is all over it throughout, right? So I was like, oh, right, so what counts as the actual start of the
It's
solo
hard to know, isn't it?
here?
Yeah.
Because he's noodling away throughout. And then there's a bit, I don't know how many minutes in it was, where he hits this squealy, super high note. He's like, oh, right, now we're into it. And it's wicked, but I was overall struck by how good the three of them were. That rhythm section, who I've noted them down because I'd never heard of them. On bass, Billy Cox, and on drums, Buddy Miles. We should know those dudes' names, man. They were just rocking so hard, supporting Jimi Hendrix traveling on the guitar, while they just locked it down. And like I was struck by the fact that, like, groove wise, of course, Jimi Hendrix was brilliant in this. He sounded like I've used the word traveler. He was like nothing I've heard. Really, it was brilliant. What was I saying? But that rhythm section, man, this is recorded as the first Black Sabbath record comes out. They sound like they're playing in Clutch or Sleep or something. Like they're wicked band. And Jimi Hendrix is obviously great.
They're playing just right in the pocket of just like and just like not too fast, not too slow.
No, they just
bossing it.
Yeah, they just glide in a way in the silkiest, most hard rocking way, which feels like, this was the template for like all the Caius stoner rock stuff, not Sabbath. Like,
and then the
amazing.
bassist sings that crazy stuff at the end as well, right?
Amazing. Does he? Oh, yeah.
You know, but there's the real singing bit at the end when it's not just Hendrix doing his
yeah.
Do I have to be the singer stuff?
Yeah, that was great. But as you can tell, I was more struck by the rhythm section than I was by the solo.
Talk about context as well. You know, that squealing crazy shit that he's doing. That's 3 times as much of a leap as Eruption was in terms of what people had heard before.
Yeah.
You know, blowing people's minds. Amazing.
Rich, where does this land on your scale?
I don't know that much Hendrix, but I immediately would think, without having re-listened to this other track, that something like All Across the Watchtower would be a better solo or more memorable solo. But
All Along the Watchtower was at number 11.
No, All Across the Watchtower he was talking about.
Oops.
That's more of a solo, right? But it's fascinating that they put this in here at number 2. A really mad choice. And it made me think that maybe in America things seem different to how they might seem over here as to what's popular, you know?
If you read their reasoning for it, I mean, it's based on some of the guitarists who consider this the greatest. So Slash reckons this is the greatest solo ever played, and
it's a great example of Hendrix doing his Hendrix thing. if someone has never sort of understood what he was about, that's a great way of understanding it, of him just going crackers. And it does, it does some of the amazingly dexterous, noodly great stuff. Loads of the, look, everyone, I've just found out that you can make electric guitars sound like these noises stuff as well, It's a great snapshot, but whether it's a memorable solo, it didn't seem like that was the point.
No, it really is it's a weird one for number two, doesn't it? Because it's him trying stuff for an extended period in a live show setting. It's if you were there, it would have been mind blowing. To listen to it on record 55 years later you've got to try and put yourself into that context a bit more, I guess.
I think I successfully got myself in the mindset to enjoy it. I enjoyed it. It was great.
All right, number one, Purple Rain.
Number one, Purple Rain. I have thoughts about number one, Purple Rain. I couldn't understand why that was number one when I just read the list. I knew that it had like famous noodly solo in it. I couldn't think how it went. So I thought, right, come on then. Well, let's see what he's got. Coming into it, I think I hate Prince.
What?
I think I've always hated Prince. Even when I was a kid, I could just tell that he was a prick.
What?
I just think that he emanates, I'm a prick, throughout all of his music. No matter how good the music is, he's a prick. I don't think anyone would disagree with that. And that always grated on me. So he's so delighted with himself, and there's not the tiniest hint of irony in that, which is what is required to make that work in my mind. So admittedly, I didn't want to like it. So with that as the context going into it, it starts up, and his guitar tone on the number one guitar solo of all time sounds like someone in their bedroom plugged into a Boss DS1 distortion pedal, not loud enough, thin, weedy, and really shit sounding guitar. And can I, if you indulge me, I can describe the solo. I've made some notes. I can take you through it for those of you who haven't heard it. For context, it does sound like he was warming up and didn't know it was recording. It starts off with a big screaming start, which promises an enormous amount. Then the second little thing it goes into is clearly a mistake, and it sounds like he wasn't ready and has forgotten what he was doing. After that, there are a series of shit bends. He wails on a double stop for ages, like it's the best thing that he knows how to do. There's another big dodgy bend. Then my favorite part of the solo, which I've written down here as being a comical bit of tuneless whittling, which it sounds like if you're shit at whittling, and I am, I've spent much of my life doing exactly that. There's a certain thing that you do when you go beyond how fast you can play notes. And it clearly sounds like you're just waving your fingers on your left hand and doing the picking with your right hand with no further thought than that. He does that on the greatest solo of all time, which is utterly embarrassing. Then after that, some bad blues licks. Then there's the one memorable bit in it where he does that lyrical bit with it. And then that's it. And I've written at the end, fuck me, that was so much more pathetic than I could have possibly hoped for. And maybe it is so low in the mix because he was ashamed of it.
Bravo. It's no Chocolate Rain, is it?
Why was that number one?
I don't know why. I don't know why it's number one. I disagree on some of that. I have no chops whatsoever in the lead guitar game. I thought I quite like there's a point maybe in the second verse when you start to hear this kind of guitar that's kind of, you feel like there's some tension there, like there's quite a wild tone, and you think something's going to, he's controlling it and there's some feedback and stuff. I like that. I then don't think the solo is high enough in the mix. But I do quite the repeated two-note thing. I do really like the kind
Which bit now? The double stop bit.
Yeah, I don't know what a double stop is, but
like wailing on a chord of two notes.
Yeah, I quite like that.
as a thing, it's not a bad thing to do,
No.
but he just doesn't do it very well, and it doesn't seem to. I don't know.
But no, yeah, it's not the best out of these 10 songs.
It was the worst, surely. It just sounded so. It felt like a joke when I played it through. It was, especially after his My Guitar Gently Weeps. Brilliant. He's clearly an incredible guitar player.
I think perhaps, I mean, I haven't been that harsh in my notes. I just said it's a bit patchy. Some recognizable motifs, some, stuff that's gone down, and you'll know immediately what it is when you hear it. I think perhaps the song itself is a majestic song. It's built, big choruses built for a majestic solo in the middle. And I think perhaps you're kind of hoodwinked a little bit by the song that surrounds it. So when there are a few bits in that solo that stand out, and they're nice little bits. But when you spend some time with it, it is patchy. There's bits where it just starts, as you say, G, just starts doing something, banging away at something for a few seconds that doesn't really do anything.
Yeah.
And then he'll play a little widdly something that's recognizable, and it's great. And then he'll go back to something that's,
It's not very good in places like as a guitar player, you sort of just you think you know what it is to do that bit, and it sort of gives it away a bit. Like oh yeah, that's a bit of a shit thing to do. He's not doing that very well, on that of all things, and the fact that he's got this sort of grandiose attitude of himself as well makes it even more embarrassing. Everyone loves a character who is like a baddie and the person you love to hate and you want to see them lose. But the thing is, they're amazing.
I've never thought of him like that. He's obviously, got there's no questioning a big ego, but I've never thought of him as, in as strong terms as you said there, really.
Rich, what are your thoughts on this one?
Too much more to add, really. Although I know Purple Rain, the album, pretty well, I hadn't really paid much attention to the title track, and certainly hadn't noticed a barnstorming solo in it. So I was a little bit underwhelmed.
That's because there
as
isn't
well.
one.
Yeah, I was a little bit underwhelmed. You're right, and the tone and the sound of it just sounded a bit shit, I would say. It's like, yeah, you're trying to hide something here. So, no, compared to the absolute glory in some of the previous songs we've listened to, I wasn't that impressed.
There's no way if this was a British chart that Purple Rain would have been anywhere in it. It must just be an American cultural view thing, right? It must just mean more over there.
I think that's
Perhaps.
certainly played a part in what we've seen and the order we've seen things, and well, perhaps that leads.
Is there a lot of Kiss in the top 100?
No Kiss at all, no. But
oh really?
But let's wrap this up then. Let's just briefly, let's not get into the detail too much, but briefly talk about, of those top 10, what shouldn't really be there in your opinion, and what would you add into the top 10 that we've not seen? I'll go first. I think Bohemian Rhapsody deserves to be in the top 10. I think it's not Brian May's best solo necessarily. There's others that I think are probably better, but in terms of, again, context, importance of the song, perfect solo that is right for that song in the right place and everything.
Yeah. Oh yeah, amazing. Where did that appear in the top 100?
14.
Not too bad.
Any others? Any people put in?
I'm going to get ahead of Richie on this one and say I think the Paranoid Android solo would take a spot in there above, it's certainly above Prince, maybe above Maggot Brain for me. I think that one is a just amazing bit of storytelling in the middle of the song.
It's a fantastic solo.
That was at number 64.
See, I also, having scanned the top 100, find it staggering that there's no Mastodon in there. Like, I'd put the Oblivion solo up for debate. Maybe not top 10, but should be top 30.
Yeah.
Again, without wishing to get into the meat of the rest of it, I was quite surprised to see Jimmy Eat World in the top 100.
Really?
The middle.
Which one was that?
The middle.
It's a good solo.
Oh, what, that sort of weird clean solo that he does?
Diddly sort of.
No.
I was quite surprised at that. What do we think about Sweet Child of Mine?
Oh, that should have been in there. 100%. That's a great call. Amazing.
That was
25, was it?
25.
Seems way too low, isn't it?
Paradise City?
I think Sweet Child of Mine was the only only Slash solo in the 100. Personally, I think Night Train's a better solo. That would be my pick, but that's for a different episode.
Oh, I think that is talk about great starts to solos, that one.
Well, he's got two
Brilliant.
solos in that song. There's an outro.
I'm thinking of the
as
one
well.
when he starts
Yeah,
low and then it's just all about making his way from the bottom all the way to the top.
That's
Fantastic
the
solo.
outro bit at the end. Any others that people would chuck into the top 10?
Get the Funk Out.
There's no extreme in the top 100.
There's not, and that is
Get the Funk Out not in the top 100 guitar solos of all time. Brian May said it's his favorite guitar solo ever.
It is glorious, absolutely glorious.
Did Symphony of Destruction get in there?
No, I think there was one Megadeth
Hangar 18
song.
is in there, not Symphony.
Yeah. We could spend a long time debating this. Any of the final votes for songs?
What was the highest Rage Against the Machine one?
It was only Killing of the
Name.
Name. It was the only one.
Which is great.
I was thinking about that album for this, and I think although Bullet in the Head and Killing in the Name are the two sort of like obvious ones to choose from that album, the solos in them, maybe not by coincidence, are maybe the two best solos on the album, when he's most innovatively and lyrically using all these crazy things in the most memorable way. You know, he was a huge deal for me growing up, that record. Oh my goodness. Can I add in a suggested extra one that should have made it, maybe not for the same reasons? What I would say is the funniest guitar solo of all time. If anyone has ever got as far as listening to the second Audio Slave album, which, for the record, sucks. There's one song on it which is good. There's only one good one where you think, oh, there we go. This is what I wanted them to be doing. It's track 2 called Out of Exile, and the solo in that song is 100% hilarious. It is amazing.
Put it straight on.
It's so. Is there any way we could put that on? The song is quite a banger, but the solo in it, it's like the idea that he finished that solo and then either he or the producer went, done, absolutely, print it, move on, is hilarious to me.
Clip removed for copyright reasons.
A bit like a
Done.
dial-up modem.
Also, I bring you back to my description of what makes a good guitar solo. It's like, get in there, sound like you're losing a fight with a guitar, get out.
That was like a shit version of Paranoid Android, wasn't it?
When you said it was a funny one, I thought you were going to refer to that live version of Word Up by Gun.
Oh, can we find that?
I mean, I've got the CD somewhere. I don't think.
Stitch it on afterwards.
Can I just you feel free to cut this, but just as it's come up to tell the story of it, that there is on the single that they released for Word Up by Gun, which only a fool wouldn't love. One of the B-sides on it is them playing at the Radio 1 Roadshow, playing Word Up, and you can hear quite clearly in it that there's a point partway through playing it where he breaks a string, and he must be playing like a guitar with a floating tremolo, which means that when you break one string, all the other strings on your guitar go completely out of tune, and there's nothing you can do. He has to just plod on through and get to the end of the song, and he plays this song. I haven't heard it for so long. Oh, it's just all going back to me. He plays a solo which is just so hilariously, tragically, sadly awful. Because there's nothing else he can do.
I'll tell you what else he could have done. Not put it on the B-side of a single.
Well, this is the funniest thing about it, is that there must have been some point where someone was saying to them from their label, I'm afraid we're going to have to put that Radio 1 Roadshow live track as the B-side. And he must have been like, really? Really? It's oh, I'd forgotten about that. Oh, thanks for reminding me. That's a tear-jerker.
All right, let's wrap it up there.
We'll sing sayonara. We'll sing sayonara.
Right, what have we got coming up?
This weekend, I am going to Desert Fest in London, which, I don't know if you guys are aware, is like held over a number of venues in Camden, based out of the Black Heart, which is fantastic metal and rock pub, and covering all of the places in Camden and up to the Roundhouse. So we've got things like Clutch, Green Lung, Hermano, Truck Fighters.
I've got the lineup in front of me. It looks super exciting. You've mentioned Hermano would be great. They got John Cassier from Caius. On that night, might go and see Halas,
Oh yeah,
who are playing the Underworld. They will be absolutely wicked.
Mm.
Oh, I love Halas.
Yes. Slightly more kind of proggy take on the Stoner Rock thing, but they'll be wicked. Gnome are playing that day as well, who are wicked.
Oh wow, great band now.
Yeah, sounds like you're not going to miss Green Lung. I love Green Lung. They are absolutely excellent. Great run before it as well. Elephant Tree, Pigs Time 7, and Green Lung.
Yeah, pumped.
Amazing. And then Sunday night you got Clutch with the Sword
Yeah.
and Truck Fighters before them. That sounds like an amazing day.
Oh wow. Do you remember there was a period of time in the noughties when we were all living together where the Sword was getting played a lot? The
Yeah.
first Sword album.
We went
Yeah.
to see them, didn't we? They supported Metallica.
Mm.
We went to see
yeah.
Metallica at the NEC, and they
Yeah.
opened for them, didn't they?
That's right. That's right. I think Clutch are playing their first album in full.
Oh, hello.
Oh, really?
Nice.
Yeah, I think it's like an anniversary show thing. I'll report
That'll be
back.
a
Cool.
treat.
All right, yeah, we look forward to an in-depth review of that next time we meet.
Also, before next podcast, I think I'm going to see We Lost the Sea and Overhead the Albatross to post-rock giants. That's another show that's been upgraded. They were playing Thekla. It's now in Prospect. So that'll be super exciting. I'll feedback on that too.
Awesome. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Rich, details of how you can pre-order the vinyl for the new Blue Neck album. If the detail isn't already online at time of recording, it should be by the time this pod goes out.
I think so. Yeah, it's tomorrow.
Excellent. We'll keep plugging
Yeah.
that over the coming weeks.
And in case we don't have another show before then, come see my band Pretend Friends in Bath on 31st of May, playing a lunchtime show in the Bell. Be on about 1 p.m.
Nice.
Brill. All right. That is us. As we said earlier, please keep in touch. Email us, leftsidebrainband@gmail.com. Message us via the socials, Instagram, Facebook. Comment on the episodes. And please like and subscribe. We haven't said that before, but it would really help if people started leaving some 5-star reviews on whatever your podcast supplier of choice is. So if you like us, please shout about it. Right, Rich, it's your turn to choose an LSB playout track. What have you gone for?
I am choosing Almost Had Me off Collider.
Lovely. All right. Cheers, gents. Let's do this again sometime soon.
Yes, please.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.